I think that's the point is, hey, Jane's an asshole. Jane is a dick. Jane is literally
that's what I'm not getting here. That answers all of my questions.
Well, I think so.
I've given you the clap.
Get out of here.
I am. I'm out of here. Oh. Lisa, how's that coffee treating you?
Oh, it's good, but I feel like it's given me a case of the madness.
The madness is upon us.
Madness.
It's fair to say.
It's very fair. Oh, smells so good. Nothing like your neighbor's coffee first thing in the morning.
That's or the coffee your roommate made. People of Earth, thank you. If you're listening, you're hearing this. This is Melrose Madness.
Welcome.
I am so fortunate to have my wonderful co-host Lisa here, and
thank you.
I'm Wayne, and what we're going to do today is take a kind of a deep dive into Melrose Madness, Season 1, Episode 3, Lost and Found. That's what we do here at Melrose Madness. We are really plumbing the depths of this 1990s spanning, essentially.
Oh my gosh.
Young adult soap opera about glitzy life in LA, and it's not even a spoiler-worthy thing. We know that there's an arc where things are going to change about this show, and things need to change about this show. And I'm engaged, characters I love, but you can see that it's a rough start for this series by episode 3.
It's a very slow burn.
Yeah, I'd like to read you my notes at the end of viewing this as a taking off point.
Please.
Mostly nothing happens.
Yes, accurate.
And yet the revelations are devastating.
They are devastating, confusing, intense.
I'm changed by this episode. There's so much within so little. It's like a black hole, or it's like dividing by zero. That's the essence of Lost and Found to me.
Here's what I will say about Melrose Place in these early episodes. Because we are committed devotees of the series, we've gone through the entire lifespan of it. I cannot stress enough to you how many layers are contained in this show, because you're absolutely right. Nothing happens. But for the eagle-eyed viewer, clues are left, all over the place in terms of weird character developments that will come back, things that you kind of feel like writers were like, hey, let's give this a try and see how it goes. And then you go, oh, that's sort of like the first attempt at what I was calling the sneaky woman who stirs the pot.
Yeah,
you see us attempt
these tropes.
These tropes that are starting to emerge, where they're playing with, that doesn't quite stick. But I have to just special shout out to that art department, because they, throughout the entire course, I think, of the whole show, there is a lot of storytelling going on in these props.
But I'm interested to hear what you have in mind, because it's such a mixed bag for me. You don't really, there's one corner of Alison's home that has one poster, 2 posters that might give you a sense for her sensibility.
Yes.
And everything else, sometimes it's a child's drawing.
It's all over.
So, what do you have in mind?
I think at one point they have, I think there's sorry, I'm gonna blow my nose with the mystery napkin from under the table, guys.
I don't want you
running my nose off.
That'll distract you. You've got to be in this, Lisa.
Oh, thank you. Well, okay, so art department. So if for anyone who's never worked in the entertainment industry and doesn't exactly know the dividing up of the creative choices that are taking place when you're making a TV show. So if you're on the art department, even though the showrunner, the person who created the show, is signing off on the final decisions and everything. For example, if somebody has to choose this color, somebody has to choose whether or not this can be shown.
For our listeners, we have wonderful goblets that we drink from here.
We have a beautiful Tonga Hut Tiki Lounge cup here, actually, LA's oldest tiki bar in North Hollywood and Palm Springs, because you know what, guys? We're a tiki family here. We might as well promote it.
We're into it. We have mixed feelings about, this isn't a tiki podcast. This is a Melrose Place podcast.
It's the Melrose Place podcast. But
Art department.
So art department. So the choice, for example, this may be me jumping ahead. This may be me just, hinting at Chekhov's gun. Chekhov's chili gun. I'm very specifically referring to the choice of how chili dogs are portrayed in this episode. They are lighted lovingly with candlelight. They are taken into a break room in the middle of the day with it is just the imagery of chili dogs and candles is so aggressive throughout. And so me bringing up the art department is asking myself, did the head writer and showrunner push the chili candle theme, or did the art department say to themselves, this is our moment to shine? No one's given us a specific directive. When he said 3 candles, maybe they meant 3 like birthday candles, but no, we're going to take these big ass candelabra candles. We're going to go take Lumiere in the back and yank his hands off.
These are candles that you search for when the power's out at night.
Yes.
That she's celebrating an anniversary.
If there's a ghost in the house and you have a handheld candelabra, these are the candles that you're using to go down into the basement looking for Dracula.
This is what you're thinking of when you think of that.
Yes. So I'm very specifically talking about chili dogs.
Chickens, eggs, chili dogs, and sex. I think we should start from the start really briefly, because this episode, Lost and Found, confounding to me from the start. I'm like, because we begin in this noir scene in the Blue Room, a jazz club, where you're watching Melrose Place sort of because Andrew Shue's there, but it goes on a little long before you find out that it's Billy's writing that you're watching portrayed, and it's terrible. Yes. How did you feel about the opening?
I thought that, first of all, they did not do nearly enough to make the look different, so that you did not think it was close enough to the real. Like, they should have shot it in black and white or something. They did different things. I could see what they were trying to be dreamy. Also, it seems like they're trying to do like a Sunset Boulevard thing. It's a film noir. That's Billy's, hacking away at the keyboard, like
not typing,
fingers, like whatever. But I feel like they were trying to do that sort of film noir thing, and it
looked too much like Melrose Place.
It looked too much like Melrose Place. Also, Billy's accent was, I don't know what exactly he was doing.
The pet theory, producer Ilana. By the way, we are joined behind the camera by the wonderful producer Chris and producer Ilana. Producer Ilana and I.
We're theorizing.
Give me the keyword again.
Oh God, Billy, film noir, acting.
Oh yes, the direction Andrew Shue got.
Oh God.
Was just every line you do an accent. Your character has an accent throughout this scene, and he didn't get the specific one to like do the same accent every time.
No,
he's doing accents, and it's sort of, you get a little bit of a hard boiled, but I think there was a little bit of Chicago mixed in.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even think about like a Chicago gangster.
Yeah,
is Bugsy Siegel a Chicago gangster guy? I think that's right.
Yes, that sounds
right. Chicagoans.
Fact check us down below. Interact with us on the internet.
Yeah, he is clearly trying to be some sort of. I think what happens with actors in Los Angeles who have never lived on the East Coast, because I feel like I could confidently say that this would be what I would do, is you have a tendency to go, well, all those city accents are kind of the same. So like, I could easily see him being like a little bit of My Cousin Vinny, a little Chicago, a little, what do people from Boston really sound like? Like, I am so
the culture is eating itself.
It's so,
in the form of Andrew Shue in this scene.
In the form of, well, it's also this thing of just not understanding accents from certain cities. Because for example, okay, we had this ad that came on I think it was on Hulu for Sam Adams, and I'm like, this is one time the algorithm really is off, and they're like, your cousin, your white cousin from Boston, and I'm like, oh
Yeah.
no, we're not that kind of white people. Like, Boston white people are just specific. Like, I can't do it. I don't have anyone in my family I can do a impersonation of. Like
Yeah.
we're in Florida, Georgia, Midwest. We're
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Southern, and that. But like, it gets
Your
so
mouth doesn't
confusing.
make those shapes.
I
There are
can't.
phonemes involved that your tongue is unaccustomed to,
When I saw,
or lack of phonemes. And
I've never been to Boston, but I saw the Departed and the Town, and Good Will Hunting, and it's like it is an aggressiveness. And so I think what Billy's doing is, this is a laid back California Valley guy, and so he's
it's
just like,
bring that East Coast, bring that. It gets
Not
fucking
here.
cold in the city
that's
too.
yes,
This
that's
is
it.
this is what's missing from Savannah and LA
We don't have
equally.
harsh
I would
winters.
bet is, I mean, there are plenty of other reasons to be angry.
Yes,
So Lisa, do you want to play a game?
of course, always.
Okay, so
Wait, is this Saw?
you're trapped. No. So producer Ilana, on viewing this midway through the episode, she said, like, I just feel like I keep wanting to say to these people, like, hey, why are you doing that?
They're so
Like,
This is
the
the show.
examples of human behavior that are on display.
Yes,
So this is a game we came up with, and I want to
so
see how it goes,
this is
because
amazing.
I think it's going to use some skills of yours. The way I'd like to structure our discussion is, I have statements about things that happen in the show, and what I'd like you to do is listen to that statement, absorb it, and then give to me back, for starters, your reading of, hey, why are you doing that? The way you would say it to that person, that scenario. I've got an example coming up, and then from there we'll discuss,
I love all.
and we'll move on to another scenario. Does that sound like fun?
Yes, actually,
For us, I mean,
yes. For us.
maybe for the listener, but like,
Well, that's your problem.
you are entirely theoretical in my mind, and I love you nonetheless. I love you in theory, and one day I hoped. Well, no, that starts to sound like I'm sexually harassing the audience again.
Hey, not all love is sexual love.
I'm a
And
big.
you can put that on a bumper
I
sticker.
think agape was like the only decent thing I got from Catholicism. So then that'll be the format of the discussion. We'll move on to the next scenario.
I like
so
it.
as an example, like if I were going to do one where we were going to maybe talk about Sandy's gyrations.
Oh, God,
Again,
yes.
the game is, hey, why are you doing that? So here's my statement, and then I want back from you.
My version of your statement.
Your version of, hey, you've thought about what this person has done,
Yes.
and what you want to say to them is, hey, why are you doing that?
And then I say it in how I would say, hey, how are you doing that?
Okay, so
got
just
it.
here's the example.
I think I got it.
All right. Sandy,
Yes.
while consoling Jake about his breakup with Kelly, a child, starts thrusting her hips and waving a pool cue suggestively. So the game is called Hey, Why Are You Doing That? Sandy,
She's
tips?
doing that thing, and I can ask her, hey, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
Sandy, is it possible that you're trying to waft your scent out so that Jake will be turned on? Because I think I read that Cosmo article as well.
I like that. You went in there, you
I went
related.
I see what's going on, girl.
Yeah, so something like that. So I like that. You can extrapolate, do like the get to the heart of it with a character, or failing that, just a straight reading of, hey, why are you doing that?
Hey, why are you doing that?
Those are how we will play the game.
Oh, I got it.
Okay, so scenario one. Jake invites out a child as friends to a dinner date at his place
Oh, God.
that starts at the grocery store. That's our scenario. Hey, why are you doing that?
Hey, why are you doing that?
Okay. I'm getting like, like concern.
Oh,
So
concerned.
what are you seeing in this grocery trip with Jake and Kelly from 90210? Blessedly, thankfully, we are, I think, dispensing with the crossover as of this episode.
I think this. Oh yeah, this is the final. Like
So-
she's done.
and-
I think.
And these people are in a grocery store together shopping
People are in a grocery store together.
to make
shopping.
dinner together.
Yeah. Hey, Jake. What do you think is gonna happen tonight? I'm just curious. What's the exit strategy, bud?
But he has an exit strategy.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That is what's bonkers.
Yeah, the exit strategy is really just
But like within we will talk about that for sure. But within the larger structure, like he's got a plan plotted out, but he didn't bring enough money for the groceries.
Oh my God. He's short $4.02. I just remembered that.
Yes.
He also did not plan to have enough money for this dinner.
Or limit the shopping, like, hey, that ice cream that somehow magically cost exactly $4.02 after tax, could you just leave that out because I'm short, because that's part of my characterization is that I don't have money on me.
Well, also this is a big thing that I have with Jake anyways, is that he acts like circumstances happen to him and it's really just poor planning. And we've seen the moments where we're like, hey bud, you're about to leave the house. Do you have enough cash? And he's like,
he's just zooms past that moment.
Personality. Yes, yeah. Exactly.
The other thing I had from that little moment was just Kelly, the teen, thinking that parm makes you horny.
Dairy products
yes.
are posited as a pretty aggressive aphrodisiac throughout this episode. I don't know how their systems work, but I'm not eating a lot of cheese before I'm trying to get freaky with somebody.
Consequences will never be the same.
Sucking on chili dogs outside the Tasty Freeze, man.
Now that's America. Another scenario?
Oh, yes. Hit me with another scenario.
So, Kelly the teen thinks it's a good idea to try to make out with Jake while he's chopping onions. Hey, what are you doing that?
Hey, why are you coming at me to kiss me while I'm holding this very pointy knife in this tiny corner of my apartment? Also, the actor, by the way, am visibly crying because it is actually quite pungent because they're making me chop these onions.
He had to do some work with props in that episode, it's fair to say.
Yeah,
that's a stunt, really. There's a knife.
There's a knife. Oh yes, there is. There's a knife. So there's abrupt movements.
Grant Show, the handsomest man around, doing his own stunts.
Doing his own Kelly doing her own stunts because she came in. She's the one who
Jenny
came
Garth
into the. Oh my!
Put
God.
herself between his torso and the knife. I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, a lot of onions. A lot of onions in that scene.
I've got another scenario that's a little more piquant. Jake sets up a ruse to scare Kelly off.
Oh God!
Instead of having an honest, kind conversation with her.
Hey, I have a question for you, Jake. You know that you have an opportunity in this young woman's life to just really explain to her boundaries, why certain relationships don't make sense.
Power dynamics one should avoid in one's life if one can help it.
I want you, young lady, I'd like you to walk away from the situation knowing for a fact that you did nothing wrong. Because the last thing I want to do is create some crazy fixation situation.
I
but that said, I know you're going to hire that lady anyways.
I think that Jake somehow did not see any other route but damaging the part of Kelly that trusts.
Yeah, also, this is very 90s to do this elaborate ruse to lie to somebody about reality.
So in plot, for our listeners who are watching along, Jake has set it up to look as though he was double booked for dates that night. He was having his lasagna with Kelly, and all of a sudden, this beautiful, appropriately aged woman with curly brown hair is angry because, what are you trying to pull? And it's a terrible acting job that the characters do, not the actors. They're doing the trying to see if she's buying it.
To spare Kelly's feelings.
To spare her feelings.
Knowing that she's too young.
Yeah.
That's what
for knowing that this is a relationship that in its nature should not be.
He is refusing to educate her about it. It's hilarious. Although I cannot.
He sees no other way around it.
No other way. I feel like I would be remiss if I did not discuss this woman's hair. First thing I
Margot.
note, Margot. I love that you know her name. If Google Crystal Gale, children, because that was a country singer who was very prominent in late 70s, early 80s in the country world. This woman's hair goes down so long. In addition to that, I think it might have been naturally curly, but I think she permed it on top of that. I can't tell what's happening, but it's just her hair.
We're both curly-headed people. For those who listen and don't watch.
Yes, for those who listen and don't watch, I'm
Me extremely so.
Yeah, you're white. You have like nice tight little curls, and mine. Since I cut my hair, they're a little more prominent. But yeah, I couldn't. It was a time when people were really opposed to the natural texture of their hair, and just
everyone hated
straight.
It was,
I need a perm. If I have a perm, I need a perm on top of that perm.
It was the era of greener grass.
Yes,
it was greener grasses in the hair texture department.
Because I do have to say, I feel like every episode. Oh, do I need to do that? Oh my God, could you fluff me? Would you fluff me? Here, I'll come over here. You fluff.
I know it was that kind of podcast, Lisa.
Fluff my hair.
Yeah, it's right now. Producer Chris is helping to just do a brief little style adjustment.
His mom cut my hair because she's a hairstylist, and so is his dad. And so, how do I look?
Good.
Thank you.
It's all in the family for haircuts, which is like nice.
Thank you. Yes. Well, I feel like every episode there is at least one extra who just has some amazing hair that is just very of the era and wild. I think Peg Bundy was the last one.
There's Peg Bundy, and then there was Betsy Johnson.
Yes.
Who may,
oh my God,
we suspect, could be the same actress.
It could just be the same lady.
Yeah.
That's absolutely correct. But yeah, I'm so sorry. I just that is something so great about this show is the 90s hair is you forget because there's so many things that did not come back.
The unfortunate we have cherry picked the retro 90s thing and yeah, but I think part of it was that the 80s weren't over because some of those bigger things, and producer Chris, I would invite you to comment from behind the mic because I feel like you
hair conversation.
But the big hair, it's big 80s hair, right? Like you think big hair, you think 80s, yeah. But and I think that again. There's a longer theory that we won't get into here, but like in my mind, the 90s did not begin on January 1st, 1990, but rather like whenever Nevermind hit the charts. Right, or Teen Spirit as a single, whatever. That like at least for a certain strata that I identify with, right?
I do. I think grunge to me, like when grunge kind of kicked off, Nirvana to me really kicked off a huge attitude shift from like the big shoulder pads, the big Wall Street, like buy, sell, Reagan. And then I think in the 90s, everybody was like, oh my God, I'm so tired.
Oh, well, whatever, never mind.
Oh no, whatever, never mind. I was like, and then, you saw Daria. And yeah, so I do feel like around what, like 92?
Yeah.
Is around. Was
but I think that attitude is only starting to set in because like the Teen Spirit was a hit as of the previous fall, and the show we're now into like sometime in July, August of 92 at this point. So I think that it might be a hangover, but something else I want to talk about,
please,
just from this part is that Jake's arrangement with Margot includes a very strict deadline of 10:30 p.m.
Oh my God.
And Margot ends up being late, and you see what happens when Margot's late is Jake was dangerously close to having sex with a child. Nothing he could do about it. It's the time. It's very much like the clock strikes at midnight, and then I turn into a pumpkin. Yes. The hammer. You better show up at 10:30 because the hammer falls for sure by 11. It's
very much, there's two things going on to me here. It's very much like, hey, this is apartment living. 10:30. Everyone can acknowledge there are certain rules of things at times, and I think there's that. But
it's been established that the walls are thin at Melrose Place.
The walls are very thin at Melrose Place, and so, but also, it's just a complete lack of taking any accountability whatsoever. Yeah. And it's honestly, to me, that's Jake throughout the entire series. He does not take accountability for any relationship ever. It's always like a thing that happened to him, and you're like, dude, you gotta remember that you're the one who left the out next. Like,
Well, that's a spoiler. We'll get into that in the
God,
future.
we can cut it out.
Oh, Lisa.
Apologies, guys.
No, that's not going to be.
Needless to say,
yeah,
Jake struggles with cause and effect and timelines.
Yes, yeah. No, I think that's all true.
Negligence from previous from episodes, 3 episodes earlier, come back to haunt him.
And we have larger theories, and I know something we've talked about is two groups: the schemers, and then the people with terrible judgment.
Yes.
And we haven't seen many schemes yet. We will start to see some. We get a little glimpse at some.
Little taste.
But yeah, I think that well, Jake is our slacker, right? Jake ostensibly is from Seattle, will be established, but he's directionless and he wears flannel, right? Like that's the best they could do, and then throw it on like a small, extremely handsome man.
I will say Jake is very consistent with like the personality that my sisters and I would give to a Ken doll when we were playing, because the truth of the matter was we didn't really care what he thought. He was there. He doesn't really have depth for a purpose, because then he was like this generic character that, like, because the truth is I had the only Ken doll and everyone could come play, but like then this
was your early savvy grasp on the market dynamics.
100%.
Supply and demand, how to corner the market.
And I was like,
on something that's desired.
And I was like, hey, is this guy going to have a strong personality and connect with one woman, or are we going to throw out a pair of khaki pants with some stretch, and then everybody's kind of happy? And that's exactly what I think he is.
We're going to pause on talking about Melrose Place. Lisa, are you saying that your himbo persona for your Ken doll was also part of the scam? Like, I can play more if my little engaging personality Ken doll flirts, throws it around.
But you don't really want that.
Man, Lisa uses, I want to assure our listeners that Lisa uses her powers for good. And
I do.
We should be thankful for that, because you're a supervillain in the making, if not.
Oh,
never,
thank you.
never crush this woman's dreams in a way that she takes personally, because she might be your personal supervillain at that point.
I'll upcycle them into your nightmares.
Yeah, she's a dreamweaver.
Yes.
Okay. Hey, why are you doing that?
Ugh,
I want to get to a new scenario, new storyline.
Let's hear it.
Our aspiring writer, Billy,
Oh God,
shows up at his roommate Alison's workplace with a script he's just finished, and he demands feedback by that very night. So, hey, why are you doing that?
Hey, I have a question for you, Billy. When is this due for anything ever?
Well, he establishes the timeline that he's going to take it to agencies all over town tomorrow. And I'm glad you brought that up, because this kind of drove me crazy when we talk about the density of this episode.
Oh my God, you're right.
Let's say that we know that what will happen is Alison will hate it and they'll have a tussle, and we'll talk a little more about that soon. But so the time, if Alison gets him the feedback, let's say she just totally derogates duty on her job so she can give notes on the screenplay. If she has any note besides
It's amazing.
"Great job, you're a genius," he's going to take that feedback and incorporate it in his screenplay made on this clunky computer. There are more questions about Billy's computer savvy. He's going to do that. He's going to stay up all night using her feedback to guide his next draft of The Big Shock. And then tomorrow, that version is the one he's going to take all over town to agents. That's not, like...
I have to tell you.
If this is so important to him, why is his plan so stupid?
I also think you're giving him an incredible amount of credit.
That he would ever think that far ahead?
I don't think this man was planning on doing a second draft. Do you see how quickly he burned that thing? I mean, to be fair, she did say it is garbage from top to bottom.
I hate everything about it.
I hate everything about it. But
it sounds, from what we saw at the beginning of the show, the problematic nature of the its
accent.
treatment of trans people, it seems,
God.
also. You know, I guess of its era. This
You mean they don't exist as a plot twist?
So
that's crazy. They're
our,
human?
our
Wild.
as a punchline.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how wild his script was. Can you imagine that?
By the way, it also didn't even impress her. She was like, really? That's what? Okay.
Thumbs down for that one. So the theory in the house, producer Ilana and I agree. There are things I'm uncertain about. I'm uncertain about how long Billy spent on the. She asked me when we were watching, how long do you think Billy spent on the script in World? I'm like, I don't. He might have just gone on a jag, or it might be something he's working on for months. Don't know about that. I can't say. I am bone certain, though, to my core, that when he finished his script,
yeah,
never read it.
Agreed.
He never went back and looked it over.
No.
He
Never
printed that sumbitch up.
Yes.
And he got in his cab, maybe, and footed it out to D&D to hand it to his roommate Alison and get her hot hands on it, her hot take on it.
Yeah.
Another question. He might have just printed it and never saved.
Oh, I feel that is a very strong possibility, which is why I love that he burned it in the freaking barbecue later.
Yeah.
So dramatic.
Well, that's another hey, why are you doing that in my mind is like,
no sense.
What is this for? Like, I mean, it's like, well, it's also, he has this like, skipping ahead, he has this crazy personal growth out of nowhere.
Oh yeah, wait, what's his personal growth?
Just that he went from like, so angry.
Oh yeah.
So defensive to being like, oh yeah, no, I'm philosophical now. And it's like, and that doesn't stick. That's one of those sitcom, like you learn a lesson about friendship and it's soon forgotten.
And then next week they're like, this is not actually serialized. So he doesn't remember any of it.
The computer on the shared kitchen table.
I want to talk about this computer because I feel that we need to explain a little context for people who were not potentially alive at this time or people who may have forgotten.
This is generation 1 for PC.
It is.
I think.
Absolutely. To the point where the actors don't fully have a familiarity with how to be behaving because
how to interact with these devices.
These devices. It is very clear to all of us who watched. Billy had his hands on his lap, and the sounds of a clickety-clack at the computer were just going hard. And
also, that's never the sound he makes when you watch him. And I've been this guy, hunt and peck, but not a fast hunt and peck. No. So it's like that's painstaking work to make a shitty script. One hunt and peck at a time, much less with the phantom typist.
Oh my gosh. And so it's such a it is actually quite complicated to operate a computer at that time. I don't know that Billy would have had the ability to do that. Producer Ilana bringing up the point that if you needed to save something, you had to have purchased and owned a floppy disk.
5.5, 3 1/4.
I think I don't even know if 3 1/4 was in the game at this point yet.
These were like,
you're putting in a floppy disk, you're closing it, you're saying, hey computer, I need you to save this. It's not obvious to you. And so
this was like a black vinyl-y slab that is like the FDA would be like, oh, if you cover that, that's the right meal size.
Well, I mean, if you Google floppy disk, we will tell. I mean, these were real. People stuck them in computers, and if you lost it, your thing was there was no cloud.
I've lost writing to a broken the one that's 3 and some. We'll do our research. But yes, the timing.
I just love the idea of Billy being able to operate this computer. He can't eat. Remember, he lied on his resume. This guy can't. I don't know what I believe he's capable of actually doing. He's not even a real dancing teacher.
He's capable of getting in there. But, well, anyhow. Scenario. Hey, why are you doing that? Matt shows up, invites his neighbor Alison to what sounds like an amazing party.
Oh my
Laurel
God.
Canyon.
Yes.
And she says no so she can read Billy's script. Hey, why are you doing that?
Hey, Alison. Why are you reading your roommate's script? He has lived here for maybe 2 weeks. You barely know this man. You kind of complain about him a lot to me. Just come to this party with me. I don't understand why you aren't coming to this party. This makes no sense.
I mean, perhaps the party was so good there would be no conflict at the party, but like my guess is that that was the more interesting story than anything that happened in this episode.
I think so, and I think that he had such a good time that for the rest of this time on the season, he never did anything fun again. That is the last time that you see poor Matt getting to go to a party that he wants to go to. Every other party, I feel like he's forced to spy on someone.
Yeah, no fun. Well, it's I think the more they are upfront about his gayness, the less fun he can be. It's like a there's an inverse sort of relationship.
Yeah, if he's sort of hiding, then he gets to
I mean, it's not that he's hiding. It's just they. I think it was out there in the world that they had a gay character. I think that he's said a few things that were maybe. Pardon me, guys.
Oh, he's getting parched.
It's hard work talking this through.
You know it.
But like when he actually starts like perhaps having relationships with men, I think but this is spoiler territory. But suffice to say,
no, but it's interesting. Like it's to avoid a spoiler, you could really just easily flag. Look how carefree and Matt appears to be. He's kind of having fun, and Rhonda another one too. That like I didn't even realize that like we saw Rhonda kiss somebody, a stranger, in a bar, and maybe possibly going to hook up. And it's just keep an eye out for how restricted their storylines got not long
like,
after that, because it almost seemed like
they're setting these very narrow.
Yeah, but like early on, you can still see that like you could see where there were opportunities for these characters to have fun and exist.
Yeah,
but whatever. It's the.
I mean, it's like who they knew how to write for,
exactly,
that kind of stuff. Scenario.
Let's hear it.
Hey, why are you doing that? Alison makes a tuna casserole using spaghetti, and serves it with giant slices of bread. Hey, why are you doing that?
Hey, Alison, I have a question. Are you running in a marathon tomorrow? Also,
carbo loading.
Do you know what tuna casserole is?
They both it's Billy's favorite, and he until she says he doesn't like the script, he is liking it.
Yeah, again, food on this show is just bizarre.
It is
pretty
so consistently strange.
But again, you know what? I do have to say, we're talking in a pre-HD like screen grab world.
These things didn't have to look good.
They kind of were like, here's a spaghetti. And then so people wouldn't really have caught anything. Yeah.
They probably double dutied someone, and someone was suddenly the food dresser, and it was like, I don't know. Give me a Chef Boyardee can. We'll dump it on a plate, and they'll interact with that.
We have to remember, guys, this is before Instacart. This is before, like, iPhones. This is like, if there's I mean, that's another thing I was thinking about. Like, the ability to quickly Google and fact check something. Like, for all you know, that's what somebody thought that a tuna casserole was. Because, they're like, I'm not from the Midwest. I don't know. Maybe it was like, oh, my God. I'm in my head, it's this French art department person who's, I don't know what Americans eat. What is tuna casserole anyways? Ugh, this is garbage. I wouldn't eat it anyway. And so, yeah, I feel like, to me, they're like, ugh, I don't know. Who cares? This is what the middle states eat.
It's the incomprehensibility of culture reflecting itself.
I hope.
Billy gets so mad.
So quickly.
Producer Ilana timed it out. And from the first moment, Alison says, I hated it. And then oh, you're kidding. Why? Blah, blah, blah. She hates it all. 18 seconds to like a turn where he just kind of snaps. He is angry.
He is so mad. In his defense, I feel like a lot of the men on the show do that real quick. I feel like they ask for feedback and are immediately angry. I mean, to be fair, I feel like a lot of people in Melrose Place do that.
And there's people in real life like that, I found, actually.
Here and there. It is really interesting how much of of television at that time, I've noticed just going back, is really about like the moral of the story is for the characters. Hey, at the end of the day, no one can really know what's going on. it's better to have somebody feel like they're living in a nice little fantasy.
yes.
You know what I mean? It's like, don't disrupt the fantasy.
The reflexiveness, and this is going outside of the Melrose Place televisual universe, but like as a plot device, the kind of instantaneousness with which, like on sitcoms, family members and friends lie to one another,
And like
to create
justifies
some
it.
illusion, and that they, and then usually the lesson at the end is like, just fucking tell them.
Why don't you tell
Don't be a
them?
dummy.
It's crazy.
But that's Jake is actually, why don't you tell her? Don't be fucking dummy.
Oh, if Jake ever felt compelled to have a direct and open and honest conversation with somebody, his character would not make
It's
any,
not
there'd
Jake
be nothing
anymore.
for him to do.
It's not Jake anymore.
There'd be nothing for him to do.
He's the himbo Ken doll. Well, you know, not to, I don't know. I feel like that's,
I mean,
was that like too mean and reductive?
no, it is, because they didn't bother
That's what
developing
they
his
made,
character
yeah.
whatsoever. Listen, it's,
I don't know.
You know what? The patriarchy hurts us all, including Jake.
Shed a tear for Jake. You can do it by chopping onions if you want.
Oh, call back.
All right, so let's get to some meaty stuff here. Some really dense stuff. Jane and Michael.
Oh, God.
So,
Yes, it is meaty.
hey, why are you doing that? Hey, why are you doing that? Scenario. Jane, our fashionista housewife,
Yes.
and Michael, our medical resident, are essentially dry humping in a shared space.
Yes.
That's how we find them.
Yeah.
Hey, why are you doing that?
Hey, is there a reason that you want the break room to
No, this is
smell?
before the break room. I'm talking about the pool.
Oh my God, you're right. They're doing
That's
that everywhere.
they get.
Oh my God, she is up behind.
They
him,
get jiggy with
groping
it.
him. She's up behind.
Can I say that?
Oh, I think you can.
I did, I guess.
It's not cool, but you
No,
can't
it's
say
right. It's
it.
deeply uncool.
But that's all the.
That was the
opposite
joke?
for it. Yeah. Hey, do you think that rubbing up on your man as he cleans the pool is turning anyone on, much less him? He looks uncomfortable.
I was sort of surprised she didn't just start like doing a thing with the pole itself. That was the level of like cat and heat energy that was happening
I think
there.
she had tried before. I think before the scene started, she was trying, and he was like, "I have got to use this to clean the pool." And she's like, "Fine," and she just grabs him, starts doing the massage.
So producer Ilana is paying attention to the layout of things, and this is something else that I think
Spatially.
you can go back to the episode 1 spoilers if you don't mind having things spoiled, but we get into something that will have more interest later, that there are at least 2 other people living in the facility that we kind of never meet.
Oh,
And we have in the past posited that these
I love
people
this.
are avoiding. So there's Allison's apartments on one side, which is a must avoid.
yes. At all
And now it's like Scylla and Charybdis. It's a rock and a hard place because the Mancinis are willing to go to like rounding third before they actually go inside their apartment.
where they do not have sex.
Well, eventually.
I mean, they're that couple that's just like, we can't keep our hands off each other, and you're just like, ugh, I don't believe them. I think they're very sad. I don't think these people like each other very much.
We have developed something we call the Mancini sex paradox. And that is, it's almost, I think it's 3 for 3 now. There's a plot line that in some way they're not connecting,
Yes.
they're not working, they're not having enough sex twice now.
It's always
Or they're not having sex at the right time, whatever. And yet they always end up fucking.
oh yeah, they
It's
do
like
eventually.
these are people, and it's something, again, when we say it's early days, they were still finding what they were doing.
Yes.
They had not yet found Amanda. Heather Locklear will play in. That's not a huge spoiler to anybody. That in these early days they didn't have real problems.
No, they
did not have real problems. They created problems.
Yeah.
That's what they did.
Well, and also, I mean, I don't know if this gets ahead of anything, but bringing up Jane and Michael, I was pretty shook
Yeah.
when it was revealed.
Well, here, let me give it to you. I'll
Please.
throw it to you.
Please throw it to me.
Wait. We're both thinking about the big one.
We were thinking about the big one.
that involves
Yeah.
a number. I'm going to do a littler one that builds up to the big one.
Let's
How
do
about
a
that?
little- I
If
love
you don't
that.
mind me imposing structure, if I'm not like...
Not at all.
Okay. So first scenario of Jane and Michael I really want to get to is it's established that Jane and Michael's romantic plan is to eat chili dogs, watch a movie, then fuck.
Yes.
Chili and sex. Hey, why are you doing that?
I think, hey, why are you doing that is perfect. I don't know that.
It's baffling behavior.
I feel like it is baffling. I have theories about this.
Please.
Okay? So, Jane and Michael are originally from Chicago. This is
It's
not
established
a spoiler.
later. Might have been mentioned in passing.
It may have been, I think this is an attempt to make it like, hey, these are some Midwest kids. Like, they're getting back to their, like, they're not
Chili dog
LA
outside
yet.
the Tasty
'Cause
Freeze.
exactly, they're sucking down a chili dog outside the Tasty Freeze. And so I think it's this whole thing of trying to show like the Americana of their relationship. Like, they're from the Midwest,
Like
but they came to LA, and it's this idea. I think they're trying to set up this whole idea of like they come to LA like so many Midwesterners, and then they lose their morals, and like if only he would remember what the chili dogs are like. And so I think what's happening is
Those are some weighty ass chili dogs.
dude, I'm thinking that, but it is also a possibility that they were like, we need to shoot this. What's open? Pinks? Okay. Chili dogs is their thing.
Well, I think through a lot of, but
but I think no thought was given to the digestion of what would happen and then sex.
we're getting to.
None of
I am. My humor sensibility has been described back to me not exactly as an insult, as crass. And I don't want that necessarily to be that type of podcast. If people are listening and they don't enjoy it,
A podcrass?
podcrass, podcrass moment. Maybe we'll make a note how you can skip ahead. But like, it's like coprophilia we're getting to here. We're getting to people who kind of get turned on by shit play. Food play? Shit play? I don't know.
By the way, I think you're making them a lot smarter than I think they are. I think these are idiots who do this thing where I would be willing to put money down that is a possibility. Everyone get your kink, do whatever, as long as it's safe and consensual.
Yes,
However,
yes.
I don't believe these idiots are doing that. Here's what I think happens. I think that, this is my theory, they had the chili dogs and then they had sex, but then they had to poop like crazy and it was wild. And they were like, okay, but they don't understand the
The
connection.
pump and dump?
I don't think that, yes. I believe that is correct. Yes.
Did I cut you off there?
No,
But
I'm
you were
actually-
what you were describing was that.
No. I stopped because I'm like, that is exactly what it is. Like, you hit me. You speechless to me. But I think that really, I think that these are people who don't understand how their bodies work. And I feel like it's just like this recklessness of like, ooh, not acknowledging that it was the chili dogs that did it. Like, maybe they had also had a couple
know
of
what,
beers
though?
and they're like, oh,
Dude.
what? It couldn't be the chili dogs. I really feel like, listen,
I've been that guy. That hurts. That's so true, though.
well,
You're like, the third time around, I was like, oh, I guess eating at that place gives me food poisoning every time.
can I tell you something that, like, not to call out his
That's
mom,
truth.
but
That's
one
the truth of
time
my life.
We had a salad.
Someone we know.
We had a salad.
We'll cover
with-
on this. Lisa, you had a story about someone you knew.
Oh, girl, his mother. And anyway, so she had a salad once, and didn't feel good the next day, and was like, "Oh, that lettuce is wild. I can't. Maybe it was the lettuce." And then Henry goes, "I think maybe it was the expired Blue Trees dressing we put on it." And so I was like, I really think this show does also tell you a little bit that I don't think people understand what happens when you eat certain things.
No, it's really well. Okay, so
Yes.
speaking of chili dogs, scenario in our little game. Hey, why are you doing that? Jane
Yeah.
shows up at Michael's workplace with chili dogs, music, and candles to celebrate their 3-month anniversary of coming to LA. Hey, why are you doing that?
Hey, hey Jane, honey. I feel like you and this man probably only own one car that you share. I don't know how you got down here. I need to know why you thought that bringing 3 chili dogs in the middle of the day with 3 emergency, the power has gone out candles to celebrate your 3-month anniversary, honey, I want to know what you think the outcome's going to be.
Just so the what it says about a character
This is
that
why.
this big deal is being made about a 3-month anniversary. This blew my goddamn mind. I laughed for an extended period of time. Tears were literally not figuratively literally, but literally streaming down my face. I was saying things like,
You were Jake Onion
I'm a
style
different
crying.
I've been made a different person now. This changes everything. Like, and I don't even know if I can recapture that feeling, but this is something we were also talking about, the benefits we've had of like the rewatch, where
Oh, yes.
like I blew back. I never thought about that on the first viewing, and boy, 3 months. What kind of human being creates all this pomp and circumstance for a 3-month anniversary?
Of an event that he doesn't even seem to remember. Like, this is crazy. I don't remember. It's like literally, maybe it's the day they signed the lease or something.
I mean, there's so much, because there's problems it creates with the timeline, but like the nostalgia for a
Chili dog.
good old chili dog and fuck from 3 months ago. Like, they need to recreate that moment from three. That's just not, that part's not realistic to any human behavior I'm used to.
I just would like to know, hey, if your partner showed up to your break room at your place of work and stunk it up with chili dogs and 3 candles that, by the way, very possibly would have set off the smoke alarm.
In a hospital.
In a hospital.
This is Wilshire Memorial. There are sick people.
Notice also, this lady doesn't need to change her outfit from that encounter to when she is
The
kicking
club.
it at the club. From the waist up, it looks like the Selena's like maroon.
It's so complicated with unnecessary belt, but then later, when she doffs said coat,
Oh, she takes off her coat and it's a whole new.
she looks good for once.
She actually looks fashion. But oh god, I mean, she is literally brushing her bangs from way back here and just.
It's from
forward.
the pates, like
Way back
the like where the monk's tonsure area of the head. I don't know if I said that right, guys. Correct me down below.
Please.
We welcome that. And I don't know, share stories of some time you were with someone who wanted to celebrate a crazy anniversary that, I shouldn't say, I don't know.
Hey, listen.
Is that a thing we should do?
Yes, judge whoever you want.
Okay. But what do you do? Has this been monthly ritual? Is another question that arose.
I mean, has this been a monthly thing? And also, I think this more speaks to Jane having nothing to do. This lady does not have a hobby. She's obviously not really into her job, because I don't see her doing any designing.
Yes.
But yeah, it's very, a lot of 90s shows or any kind of, I feel like, are so focused on, these are all the maneuvers you have to do to make someone feel a certain way, instead of going, oh god, I really should just sit down with my husband and explain to him that I'm feeling a little crazy. We've only been here 3 months, but like, no one's gonna have, it's literally about everyone avoiding having a grown-up conversation. That's why I love this show.
Which, like, not unrealistic is I mean, not, the way it plays out is, but what it's getting at is something very human of like, how do I do this without actually confronting or engaging
Decisive,
conflict?
without being decisive. Well, and that's why I think, again, not a spoiler, I think that's why Heather Locklear's character, when she shows up, whether or not you love her or hate her or agree with her or disagree with her, you cannot deny this woman cuts to the heart of the matter. And like, she always, it's the straight lineness that we're not seeing from any character. Everyone's kind of jellyfishing around each other.
It is the whole thing about desire driving conflict, and like, these are a bunch of people who generally kind of don't know what they want.
It's like and this was a time,
and the character we will meet, which is not Amanda, knows what she wants and goes for it.
Yes, exactly. And like it's a time when I mean you really are seeing them figure out what the characters are doing
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
screen. It's like
What happens when you put Sadie and Jake in a laundry room?
well, exactly. And like the thing I think that's interesting to probably a lot of aspiring TV writers now is like watching people with the privilege of learning on the job. That is not a thing that you see anymore. I mean, you think about how like shows get sold as these big packages. Like, to me, it's interesting to look at the way that TV is being made. Is that you're actually realizing that like, it's, it's scripted, but also they didn't have the resources and the technology to go back and forth. So a lot of stuff is having to be written down. For example, like when we're ending, I mean, this show goes on for 9 seasons.
7, right?
Yeah.
Fact checking
Oh,
fast.
7 or 9?
Am I being pedantic?
I don't remember, but each season has 30 episodes.
It's a lot. You know what it was? It was the thing we've heard. The thing where they were shooting simultaneously in different episodes.
It's wild. So for
crossboarding,
something like that. So as somebody who, having to do script coordinating, I can't even wrap my head around the logistical brain, the math you're having to do to keep track of like storylines and how someone's, because you do have rabid fans who are going, oh no, that didn't happen, what are you talking about, she never went to so
yeah.
for me,
but not so much in that era. That level of feedback is more contemporary, but
well,
it still happens.
However, I will say soap operas have always been
That's true. They've had
by
that.
aggressive fans because they were the original cancelers. Because you write letters, you actually wrote letters to the studio, so it wouldn't have been a Reddit, but it would have been.
That's a good point. I think is the analog Reddit.
But yes, that was just me nerding out about the television history of it all.
Well, no. I mean, it brings in a lot of interesting stuff. I think. I actually wanted to bring it back because I don't know, producer Ilana. This was something that I struggled with after I lost my mind watching this episode.
Amazing.
What kind of person? What haven't I said about the 3-month thing? I feel like that deserves its own podcast. Is just to keep talking about the 3 months these people have been in. Like celebrating your anniversary in a place also is not a real thing, but at least 3 years, a year.
I would think.
It's chilling to me. Like that this is a human being that like that's how, I don't know if it's her by nature at this point or just the whole situation of maybe feeling overwhelmed.
Well, I do
or
think
bored.
I think I think it sort of does actually tie to what I said right before, where I don't know that they're doing that math or thinking that hard about it, because you have to remember what I'm saying is this is something that people could go back and look at. But if you're throwing out 3 months and saying, you know what, a couple months from now, that doesn't.
No one's going to go back
work.
and see it anyway.
No one's going to go back and see that. So what we're seeing is
that's a great point.
You're getting to see remnants of old storylines or ideas or backstory ideas.
We often talk about how the writing on this show reflects the culture or influences the culture and how the writers got it wrong. Mm-hmm. But you're shining a light on, I think, something that like might be worth remembering with like long distance through time and space empathy, that like everyone involved in this show made a really entertaining show that rarely made sense, but that under punishing conditions, like not to like poor. I mean, but we know that those are long ass days for everybody throughout the whole process to make this, and they didn't have the burden of even like I think DVD necessarily at this point.
No. And so for me it's not even about necessarily having like empathy as much as just understanding if there are mistakes and things being made. You can kind of figure out what was happening, of like where it's just like, it's just really dissecting it to try to understand how this was being made, because I love TV.
Me too. Well, it's almost like literally reading tea leaves, like knowing that what I'm doing is I'm drawing meaning out of some kind of randomness also.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's like understanding, it's kind of piecing together what was going on behind the scenes based on the final product that came out.
Profound. And so we've been talking about Jane and Michael. For those who are enjoying this and who don't mind having long-term things about the series spoiled, we have a season 1 episode 2 bonus spoilers episode that you might find interesting, because we were discussing whether to do one of those this time. We were like, well, we kind of said a lot of what had to be said that time, but we're looking at the early days and people figuring out what they were doing with something that's going to get really kind of fun and weird and stupider along the way. But hey, why are you doing that, right? So scenario.
Yes.
Or did I cut anything out there? Any?
No.
Did I preempt anything? That was kind of.
I think we're good.
We did it.
No,
Okay.
we're pedaling out and coming back into that stamen.
Yeah. So, hey, why are you doing that? Jane tells the guy that she meets at the bar
God.
that she doesn't have a boyfriend, because technically she doesn't. She's married.
Girl.
Hey, why are you doing that?
Jane, are you bored? Like, really? It doesn't... She has got nothing to do other than to try to get her husband to sleep with her.
It's these are people without problems. What was particularly galling is later he kind of confronts her about it, and that is still her. She's like, "Well, I was telling you the truth." It's like, lady,
I have to say he was pretty reasonable throughout most of this, and it's funny because it's like we call out a lot of bad male behavior, but I have to say this guy, considering how weirdly she strung him along, he's pretty chill about it.
Well, I mean, and that is her sort of final, damnation of him, is that he's a nice guy.
Yeah, exactly.
No, you have to wonder, like, this woman. I mean, like, he was, straightforward in his interest in her, and interestingly, like, willing to say that his band wasn't shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, they were not. I was surprised in the watch. I didn't remember that it was not like them goosing their fame or prominence to try. They were very like, we're just dudes who are practicing. It's Pete Pete the front man,
Yes.
maybe a Jim Morrison wannabe, and who will soon be a rather prominent character actor, Nelson Carbonell, as Alex, the bass player. So these are our two guys who are now on a double date with Jane, Sans, her wedding band, importantly, and Roxanne, who's hot to trot.
I want to know.
Rhonda, not Roxanne.
Oh, that's terrible. We have to cut that completely out.
No. Hey, it's fine. It's fine. You accidentally said Roxanne instead of Rhonda.
I was thinking like Roxanne. I don't know. It's not
Roxanne.
good. It's not good in either case. It shows disrespect to a character that the show shows disrespect to, and
It's fine.
Rhonda is here to. There are a couple of people, Sandy as well.
Yes.
Like the little devil on Jane's shoulder.
Here's what I would like to say about what strikes me the craziest of this whole situation. If you are the executive who's going to promote this band, look at these two men. How are they in the same band?
They do
What
not.
is that album cover?
They do not look.
One
like
guy
them.
kind of is giving me John Cicada vibes, and the other guy looks
John
like...
Cicada.
And then was it the Jim Morrison?
It was
you were
kind
saying?
of, he's got like, was he wearing velvet, and he had a little swagger in the
He had
hair, and
velvet
he's quoting Shelley.
moments.
He's like a faux romantic, which is like also really not the pulse of things in 1992.
Yeah, I'm trying to understand what their band could possibly be. I do think that the way that they're portrayed is because you're pointing out like this guy's pretty reasonable. These guys are actually nice. They're not assholes. They're like going, our band's not that great. We're actually just trying to do
like, oh, you strung me along all night, but you lost your wedding band. That's a real shame. I'm gonna actually help you look for it.
Well, I think
like a real mensch.
Well, but I think that's the point. Is hey, Jane's an asshole. Jane is a dick. Jane is literally.
That's what I'm not getting here. That answers all of my questions.
Well, I think so, because if you'll notice, this entire episode, she mistreats this man and basically takes his kindness for granted, and then she's over here going, why isn't Michael appreciating me bringing him a stinky lunch? And you're like, Jane, you're doing the same thing to this strange man who doesn't even have a commitment to you. So I feel like to me, it's just going, oh man, Jane is such a jerk. When she's a jerk who loves crawling on floors, man.
Oh,
What
my
is
goodness.
going on?
Yeah,
There was a time when she didn't have to crawl, and she was just like, ooh, but it's like so close.
This is Jane on her hands and knees in the club. Part of what we haven't said explicitly is double date Rhonda, Jane, Alex, Peter, the guys who are somehow in the same band. They go to a second location. They start in Shooters, and they go to a Trey exclusive club because their drummer is the doorman.
Looks like the bowling alley.
I remembered way too much. Maybe I was like, once I figured out that they weren't creeps, I guess I was kind of relating to these guys.
Because, oh God, have you had Janes in your life? Oh my gosh. So here's the thing. I can't find my wedding ring, and I need your help.
I at this distance, I can't, to be the honesty, the first thing I thought, at this distance, I can differentiate between anyone who ever may have strung me along, air quotes for our listeners, and someone whom I projected romantic feelings onto and felt that then I was in turn owed her interest. It's I feel as though this is, I mean, I'm going to have some water.
You have some water, because here's what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
You're being really wonderful about this. As a lady who was watching this woman literally explicitly go, I'm being ignored. Here's my remedy for that. I'm like, okay. So what exactly do you think is going to happen? Because here's an interesting inverse of the situation to me. Is you've got Kelly, where Jake is going, I am absolutely not going to express to this person why it's important that she leave. Yeah. Meanwhile, you've got Jane with this man going, hi, can I have consent? Can I have consent?
You have great style. Cool? I think you're awesome.
Hi, is it cool if I continue doing this? She goes, yes. Hey, come help me find this wedding ring on this dirty ass club floor. And she goes along with it. And so it's just so funny to me how you've got this example of like Kelly's supposed to be like seducing Jake, and she's really not. And
she's
then,
like mothering him. It's just another whole fucked up part of it.
And then Jane is actually, to me, she's actually doing that. Like she's taking this guy to different places. Yes. She's allowing him to buy her drinks.
Yeah. And then it's like, she draws a line, I mean, always fair for her to draw the line, but again, like, hey, why are you doing that?
Hey, why are you doing
Hey, Jane.
Hey.
Why are you doing that?
That's what it is. It's not saying, I like, why are you doing that? Because it's going, hey, buddy, I'm not going to overtly accuse you of a thing. Just so we're clear.
Just look at what you're doing right now.
But I need to ask you, hey, why are you doing that? And that's why there isn't a character who asks that, because you would have no show. It
would break the show. No, because, well, it's interesting. It's prompting the person to, in explaining themselves, they have to think through, why am I doing this?
Yeah, exactly.
Hopefully.
Let's pray.
Do you have anything on the dancers at the club?
Yes.
There were some fun things going on. There was some like uniquely 90s moves. What'd you see? What'd you like?
Oh, I liked so much of it. Again, I think I noted in the moment, this is the first club scene that we get to see on Melrose Place in an episode. And welcome to the Melrose Place dancers, guys. This is an amazing time where, to paint the picture of what's going on behind the scenes, you have casting that is taking place where people are being cast as extras for both D&D office background and the club. And this is a long and storied tradition of watching people go, how can I dress in an outfit that could work either at the office or the club? And what you end up with is these cute little ladies in like two-piece blazers and skirts going, you know what? If I had to be in marketing, this would work, but also at the club. And it was so much fun.
This is 50% business casual, 50% party.
Yes, and again, to these extras, I want to give a lot of props, because what you and I know is the music to which you are dancing often does not match to the music that the show.
There may be no music. MLS.
There's no music because they're talking.
Oh, exactly. There's no music. So
you're
people are
dancing to
dancing.
nothing.
They're dancing to nothing.
Nothing.
Just, yeah.
So your beat could be different than her beat, then her beat. Everyone's in their own. It's like a listening party. And so in addition to that, there's that weird layer of like, then a song is laid onto it. It's broadcast on a CBS in the 90s.
Well, Fox.
I'm so sorry.
CBS
Fox?
owns now. I will look into that and talk about it at some point.
So it's broadcast on the air. There's one song. Hey, boo boo.
Hey guys, for our listeners, we have a special guest of the feline variety. Conan has dropped in, but it's much like Jake with Kelly playing Hard to Get.
Oh my gosh.
You come to me, you go away. Like Jane with poor Pete.
Why don't you just set
come
boundaries
to
with
me,
me
and
instead
then
of
you
this
go
game?
away. You come to me, and you go.
But yes, so I was saying you get an episode where the dancers have been dancing to no music when it was recorded.
Yeah.
Then music is laid on it for when it is broadcast in the 90s. Now, today, there's an extra layer of interest where that music that they license is no longer
It's
in
been
their
stripped out.
possession. So these are dancers dancing to a song they didn't hear that ended up being a different song put on the air originally that is now a completely different song. So
It's a pal-obsessed, guys.
sometimes,
This file has been overwritten.
you know, when you take when you're turning in your car and you put the clicker on and somehow the clicker just lines up with the song on the radio.
That's the best.
Every now and then you see these dancers hit the beat of the song that was chosen and you realize that this is magic. That was never intended to happen.
I think that, again, when we get into the literal truth of the circumstance for the people on camera, they did a hell of a job. You got...
I love these dancers.
Some crazy, just great ponytails. The one guy's going low. We get...
A lady
are we
with
sure
cabbage
the cabbage
patching.
patch happened?
Yeah.
She was rowing through the air with great enthusiasm.
Yes, because in the 90s, some of our dances were quite aerobic. So for that lady to have committed to the Cabbage Patch for the scene was pretty impressive.
I think they're getting the scratching on Mike.
And Corin's decided he's taking over.
So guys, just
Our
know-
podcast has been hijacked by 7 pounds of cat.
That's okay. So for everyone listening, if you hear a scratch,
Okay, guys.
it's a cat. And
So
we're
some
dragging it.
of you may be familiar with Tig Notaro's chair bit, which is I think she did it on Conan and maybe other places. The entirety of the bit is her having a chair that squeaks, and she just pushes it across the stage while looking at the audience in between pushes. And it's a masterclass in
being a cat.
in being a cat, apparently, because Conan is doing his recreation of this very edgy kind of meta bit of like a dare that you're placing out for yourself and the audience to come along with you.
Come with
and,
us.
And this little orange cat wanted to do that off camera, but on mic. He's got a very outsider kind of sensibility.
Hey, buddy.
Do you want to do another couple rounds?
Yeah,
Is
let's
this
do
game
it.
working for you?
Yeah, am I playing it right? I have to be honest.
Yeah.
I have no idea what I'm doing. Am I supposed to be giving you a response as the character?
No. It was more like, well, what you're doing is perfect because it's entertaining me.
But here's what I'm going to do. Full disclosure, guys, I've been winging it. I don't really know what Wayne and
Alana warned
intended.
me that the game might need clearer explanation than I was doing.
Yes, let's hear it. Let's have a revisit of, hey, what are you doing?
So we're late in the game, and again, I say, I was trying to do the improv where I'm not like, hey, play this my way. I was taking what you were giving me, which was great. Does that make sense?
Yes.
But I will give you the board
Original
the
Genesis?
back of the board game rules that I had in mind.
That is, you know what? Always give them to me. And I'll do it.
In this scenario, Lisa is an actress giving a line reading.
Got it.
And her dialogue in this scene is, hey, why are you doing that?
Oh, so...
And Lisa takes those words,
Yes.
and with her creative interpretation, then molds them emotionally to the scenario that I am giving you.
Got it.
So, I'll do it myself.
Well, let me ask you
Yeah.
for one point of clarification.
Yeah.
Is my actual line, hey, why are
Yes.
you doing that? So all I'm doing is my emotionality
Is carrying.
because that.
Because it was to be a refrain. It was to be like repetition.
Got it.
We should have just discussed this ahead of time.
That's okay.
This was an attempt to like give you a fun little surprise, and then instead of being like, "Hey, I came up with this game.
Yes.
You're doing it wrong." I did like, "Oh, this is great. She's giving advice to these idiots. I love it."
Well, here's the other thing that we could do. Now that you say that, this also makes me feel like I think I want to. I'm totally giving away my joke because now I'm really upset that I didn't do the whole like Good Will Hunting. Hey, why are you doing that? Hey,
Oh,
why are you doing? Hey,
we've got a couple more
are you doing
scenarios. We've got a couple more scenarios.
and then eventually you cry.
Yeah,
And
that's a
you
lot to
realize
ask from me.
that your dad, it's your issues with your dad.
Those
and then I hug you,
those
and
eating
then,
issues I have.
Hey, well, that's how Good Will Hunting was, right? That's what that scene was.
You can do this. That was my larger point. You guys, you're listening to the development of a podcast in real time.
Yes, well, exactly. That's what podcasts are.
Yeah. It was a curveball, and like I said, I wouldn't say you were playing it wrong, but I'm telling you the envisioned version, and you still have a couple chances. I've got just a last couple scenarios.
Let's see it.
And then the idea is not that okay, scenario line, and we're not. That emotionality then will guide us into the conversation.
I'm in it. I've got it.
This is the conceptualizing I had in mind.
Let's do it.
But my abilities to explicate subpar.
Let's make it a reality.
Okay. So, hey, why are you doing that?
Mm-hmm. All right.
Scenario is
Okay.
Jane is trying to confess that she did, her words, something crazy at Shooters. And Michael palms her face and never follows up. Hey, why are you doing that, Michael?
Michael. Okay.
You don't have to have the name. Just give me. But it's the words, the emotionality.
I was saying Michael because you've mentioned two characters who've done some crazy shit where either one of them could very easily be asked, "Why are you doing that?" They are
the Spider-Man gif of "Hey, why are you doing that?"
I mean, they're both pretty ridiculous.
Right. So we're talking about Michael's palming of Jane's face in response to, "Hey, like I want." It's hard to hold. You can do it.
I could do it.
Or we can talk about it. Is this coming now on camera?
No, I'm just
Chris?
I'm laughing because for those of you who can't see, why are you doing that?
Yes. So it was in scene in this episode of Melrose Place, the resolution of the entire Michael Jane question comes down to he's been waiting out for her, but he doesn't mind.
No.
He just wants to take his wife to bed, eat some chili dogs, and fuck.
Yeah.
But he's going to start by, Michael, it basically sounds like she's confessing to cheating. Let's not spoil anything at all, but it sounds like she's confessing to something bad, and he's just like, Takemi Mutombo.
Got it. Actually, I figured out why he's doing that.
Okay, but let's get back to the game. So, hey, why are you doing that?
Hey, why are you doing that? Actually, your hands smell like chili dogs. I am dripping wet right now. Please allow me to get to the foot of our bed so that I may climb up your toes.
Like a sexy tigress.
Like a sexy tigress to the top of your feathered hair. And we can eat these chili dogs like Lady and the Tramp style. Until everything explodes out of all our holes.
Are we gonna do a couple of verses of Sex and Chili?
I smell sex and chili, yeah. Yeah, that was all I know of that.
Gonna blow it out my rear.
Who's that standing, looking through the blinds? Taylor. Just kidding. She doesn't come for a few more seasons.
Was that, Ilana, do we have to pay the Marcy Playground now that we've done that?
Maybe.
I think we parodied something. I had something way grosser, but
don't worry. We have background dancers dancing in the to nothing.
So what
later?
What else do we? What else is there to say about this as a resolution? They end up in bed in a very strange setup.
How is it again? What is
It was. There's that overhead shot where you're like, okay, Tommy Wiseau.
Oh yeah. They're trying some sensual angles for these guys. Yeah, it's funny. Each time they make it a real big deal how it's really hard to be married and have a job, and then sometimes want to have sex. Like that's the whole vibe of the Mancini couple to me.
I guess it is in line with something that we do see as a theme sometimes. Is just like being an adult's tough.
Yes, that is that.
This
that
is things adults deal with. Like, there will be tax problems on the show. That's like
Actually, there
like
will.
in spoiling that, it's like the anti-spoiler because it's like, who cares, right? And
There's a lot of paperwork issues on this show, so don't worry.
we already, I mean, Jake in the unemployment
Oh, that's
already.
right. Yeah.
An angry young man raging against the bureaucracy. I have a last, hey, why are you doing that scenario? And I think, yeah.
All right.
This is now about our bit player that I don't know if we ever meet again, which is the janitor at Shooters.
Oh my gosh.
So another part of the resolution to Jane and Michael. We're getting to this now. The scenario is the janitor at Shooters has Sandy pick Jane's wedding band out of the trash herself
God.
instead of just handing it to her. Hey, why are you doing that?
Hey, why are you doing that?
Yeah, it's a little
With her
one,
little
but it
bangs.
was just like, I mean, I don't know, like, again, this just for me, the mind spins out and it's like, maybe he's just had it with Sandy's shit, and it's like she's always just like this Southern Belle thing is happening, and she's showing the goddamn owner of the bar
I think
her headshots, and you're like, you know what, lady, your friend throws the sign of her quote unquote eternal love in the trash. I ain't getting it.
Well, his energy was very much to me of like, oh my God, I'd hate to take this moment for myself. I know women are obsessed with getting married. So don't you want to pluck, even though it's someone else's wedding ring, wouldn't you like to be the one to pluck it out of the trash? Like it's going to be like, it's like catching the bouquet at the wedding.
It's not fuck you, do it yourself. It's by all means.
I feel like he gave by all means energy when he
Okay.
did that. If I'm remembering correctly, he wasn't talking down to her. He was very like, oh, look, you know what it's like? It's like, oh, you know when here's a dandelion. I was going to blow it out, but you do it. You're welcome.
What I like about this game is where you get to a few why they did that.
Let's see.
Because you have such a keen idea. That's it for the game. We can try this again if it seems to fit an episode or not.
Yeah.
I think you did great.
Well, thank you.
I think you did great.
I always love
and
games.
like that is the kind of creative partnership I want, where I'm not here to impose rules.
Oh my gosh. Well, don't worry because there are none.
Because I can't. Because I wouldn't let you.
We're also celebrating.
Confirm this.
There aren't any. There aren't any. Just have fun.
I'd like to talk about fashion. We always have a little bit to say about that.
That's my favorite part of
And
the
this
show.
is something that slipped by me that you had some thoughts on. The second time we see Jane, maybe not. She's in the pool when Sandy starts her "I'm tempting you" routine.
Yes.
And the swimsuit she was wearing, as someone who has swum
Yes, I have swum.
as a swimmer
As a swimmer.
in your time, what did you think of that bathing suit?
I thought that bathing suit was a recipe for having your boobs fall out. And here's what I will explain. So
Yeah, describe it for our listeners.
Please. It looked like she had very, very thin little strips that went, they did not cross in the back until further back. And Jane is very, there's a lot of people swimming laps in the pool who are really just in there hoping their boobs will fall out and someone will come by and go, hey, how's it going? Because there's a lot of pool seduction that happens on
This
this
is true.
show. If you're by the pool,
this is a notorious pool that Jane is swimming in, and that we've seen chicken fights in.
it's like a burlesque. It was almost like a burlesque style.
It was like someone said, "Make me a swimsuit, but I want to think about a corset."
Yes. What is corset? That's the word.
And
It's
it had
corset.
tassels. It's like
it did have
it was
little
like a
tassels.
burlesque
I've never swum laps with something with tassels on it.
No.
I have to say.
Maybe it's like building up strength because that's resistance, right? In the water.
Yes.
Those tassels are going to hold you back. You got to power through.
That's true.
That's what Jane's got to have those muscles ready and supple for chili and fucking.
I mean, did she have chili before she got in the pool? Now I'm like all kinds of
I mean,
questions.
I don't want to get too graphic, but I love chili and I love sex. Chili and sex is the wrong order to do it in.
I just feel like, yeah, I
reward yourself after the sex, prolong the afterglow,
or just like they don't have to happen that close to each other.
Leave it in an oven at 200 or something.
Because I will be honest.
170, yeah.
I will be honest with you.
Yeah.
Chili immediately after sex also doesn't sound appealing to me either.
I'm a weirdo. I will straight up. People who have had sex with me and people who haven't had sex with me are nodding, so that tells you a lot about what you know about my personal character.
Wait a second. So I have to ask you this.
Yeah.
Does chili have the body reaction that we were discussing earlier for you? So is this still something that you're just dealing with slightly more delayed?
There's that. Like I've been in LA for pushing a long ass time, decades. Never been to Pink's. Just never wanted to wait in line that long. And like I know you guys might be hearing in the background some more of Conan's Tignataro act. I think he was going in reverse now.
Oh,
just cat play-by-play. We all love cats, I suppose. I'm thinking of like guys, something else you should know about. I'm a bit of a chili master.
Oh, really?
I make a pretty wicked chili.
I don't even know that I knew that.
I sometimes at parties I put out my chili.
I will say, Wayne cooks a lot of things well. That's why
my chili will not have the kind of reaction where you're just blowing it out your ass. I'll just say that way. I think that 4 to 6 hours later you'll fart a lot. Factually, sometimes I put out a Beano. I pointedly put out a container of Beano next to my chili because I use a lot of garlic. Basically, there's a lot of garlic and onion in there, and that's part of what makes it so powerfully flavored. And there's just side effects to that. This is like chemistry, biochemistry. The bugs in our gut, and anyhow. We already talked about Jane actually looked good for a change in that dress once she doffed her weird jacket. Producer Ilana was unimpressed with Michael's initial mom jeans and pager look. He had his jeans hiked up, navel level easily. Kind of a cool Loteria card shirt thing happening.
Oh yeah, that's right. It was a t-shirt, right?
He did not look like someone you want to whose bones you're ready to jump. He's not as Sandy called him, Dr. Stud Muffin in this episode. He's bringing some nebbishy ass energy throughout.
The thing.
Jane. Like I gotta work. The head resident. He's like got no heart, and it's like this. We are watching them find the character, and this isn't it.
Yeah. No.
It isn't it for even the plot line they're presenting us with, Mr. Chili and fuck Dr. Stud Muffin.
Yeah. The funny thing though to me is. He does wear that pager on his pants in that way, even at his height of seduction. I feel like I remember him showing off a shirtless thing where he's got his pager on his high-waisted pants.
It is barely a spoiler to tell you that Michael is very prideful about his position as a doctor. And I think that's how I read that is like, because, okay, for our younger listeners who maybe what WTF is a pager, lol.
Oh gosh.
Lisa, WTF pager, lol.
A pager.
I'm not saying that young people. I'm just fine. You wouldn't know this because it's a weird like archaic transition technology. Before we all were carrying wonderful computers in our pockets, or mostly the access to smartphones is kind of like over.
I think doctors might actually still use pagers. I think so. A pager. Video pop-up factoid. A pager was you could actually use a phone to send a little like coded text to a person who had a device, and it would and ring, and then you knew to call that person. So it was
Yeah.
basically just like a device that goes, oh, somebody wants me to call them. I'm important.
You have to call somebody. It would, the design is you have to call somebody. Notoriously, then codes start to become illicit activities, or
Oh wait. Oh yeah.
with
That's
pagers.
Right.
That
That's
was
right. I'm
that was
so sorry.
legendarily.
Yes.
This is the legend of pagers. I don't know the reality of it because it was actually a little before my time. I'm a teen. Nobody needs to get me that urgently at any point. I'm not.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
not useful for anything at that stage.
But yeah, I think that was the original like texting, was just having a little pager on you. And like, yeah, back in the day, it was the big stereotype was doctors and drug dealers had pagers because they were the two people who would be needed in the middle of the night.
Michael on the doctor side of that and prideful.
To start.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding. It's
no,
not a
he
spoiler.
does
I
not.
don't
Yeah,
remember. I
yeah.
don't think he sells drugs.
No, it's kind of weird that he never does actually. Billy continues to dress like young Lisa, not vice versa. That's how I want to think about
I'll
it.
be honest. Billy continues to dress like probably present day Lisa. Like that shirt.
You have that shirt?
That shirt. I have a stripy boxy T-shirt. I'm sure that I thoroughly enjoy. Yeah, Billy.
Which makes Andrew's shoe then a style icon. It turns out.
To me, of course.
All right, within fashion, we always talk about like an extra who's eye catching, and for producer Ilana and I, it was actually not a human, but just an absolute nightmare of a mannequin behind Jane while she's on the phone.
Yeah.
For those who are interested, this is the 750 mark about in the episode. If you're scrolling through, so this eyeshadowed, yellow garbed, pre-Babadook. It's like Babadook's niece.
I've actually
to me.
never seen anything like it. I think it's a weird one-off mannequin because it's not. Somebody had to make that thing.
Okay, something we haven't gotten into, and honestly, we need to do the research, is that that there was a lot of subversive stuff actually snuck into the Melrose Place
I think
set design.
It was season
it's not
two.
yet?
It's season 2.
It's not yet?
No, it's season 2 because we're in season 1.
Okay, so we're safe. We're
down
not
the
missing
line.
anything with that.
But the thing that's funny is there are such strange choices that you think that that's what's happening, but it's just a strange coincidence.
They've just done it in a way that makes it look like they're making fun of something.
Exactly. It's just a very, that thing was just very weird.
But
Yeah, so just so you guys know, that was not like a trend in the 90s. I think this weird mannequin thing was just a weird one-off.
Not what I recall, no. I mean, like, mannequins are kind of nightmarish in their own way. This sort
Yes.
of blank-faced human thing and torsos and genitals. I mean, that's actually, I think, what I have nightmares about. That's enough about me. At this point, Lisa, and this should be interesting, I think, would I want to be a traditional partner at the end of our episode? Worst thing Alison did in this episode. Does anything come to mind as the worst thing
Yeah, this is
that
tough.
Allison did? Our aspiring ad exec Allison is, to some, the worst.
This is tough.
This is a tough one?
This is very tough because Billy's pretty terrible in this episode.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean,
And-
in the contest between them, he wins hands down.
Yeah, he totally does. Let me think of the worst thing that Alice does this episode. In the morning, he's on the computer. No, she's not being annoying because he's an asshole. He's sitting there in the middle of their breakfast space. We've never seen the computer there before.
No, and he must have lugged it, and she was kind of fine with it. She was just worried about him getting to work.
Yeah, she's just worried about him getting to
Because
work
God knows he bounces rent checks.
on purpose, knowing it's.
I
gonna
just
happen.
thought maybe they'd deposit later.
Let me think.
Do you have?
She-
I've got one to bounce off if you want, but I want to give it you.
I
wanna hear it.
believe that if I remember correctly, I don't even know the detail of it, but she makes some withering remark where she references an author or somebody. She says something where she's being
Oh,
withering.
Mr.
and
Norman Mailer, I think.
Not even Norman, something along those lines.
Yeah.
That might be the worst thing she's done in the episode, which for her is very tame, I have to say.
I want to throw one out to you. I think the worst thing Alison did in this episode was encourage Billy to keep writing.
Oh yeah, she did. You way beat me. Oh my gosh, guys, just in case you don't know, this is a city full of Billies, and Alison had an opportunity to stop one.
This is actually, let's do this before we get to the quotations. because I think we were talking about how the band dudes are unrealistic for these reasons. I didn't even mention this, but like, there's a part where Rhonda bumps him and he's like, "Hey, that's my bass hand."
And he was very chill.
And this really stuck with me as someone who has been a bass player to little effect. You use both hands. You got you get but 4 notes one-handed and some just aggressive tapping noises in the lower end with the other. It's a 2-hand job, so if that's his bass hand, I'm not even that's the weird thing is they're nice guys, but I'm not even sure there's a band.
I know there isn't. There's John Cicada and that other guy, and they're not in the same band.
So by contrast, to get to something really interesting that I think that I've heard you say, Billy is an accurate portrayal of the stereotypical
Failing
Los
upwards.
Angeles film boy
Yes.
in this episode. Pride in the script, anger at feedback he didn't like.
Oh, immediate
Just
anger.
he's actually, you know what? Actually, let's bounce this off. Let's do the quotations. And there's going to be one I think that's really going to like.
Let's see this.
That's really going to. Producer Ilana has handed us the quotations. We'll go with one in, but you do the first one, and I think that's like so. So we're just going to peek into a few notable quotations from this episode.
I
So
love
this is now going to be Jane to Sandy, regarding the state of her marriage.
I love my life, my husband. Everything is roses and sunshine. Because that's usually how a woman in this show responds to anyone saying, "Hey, things don't seem perfect between you two."
That, well, and you know that dynamic does play out in reality, but that is a surefire way to drive someone closer to a creep is to be like,
100%.
look out for the creep. But yeah, she's this is the second week in a row where we have a spotlight on her childish understanding of what relationships ought to be. You know what, guys? I've got a great marriage, not to boast. You know, don't think of me any differently than you did when you started this episode. But
When I was groping my husband at the pool.
I'm still very much in love with my wife, and it's never if everything is roses and sunshine is a lie.
It always is a lie.
It's a lie she's telling herself. It's a lie she's telling Sandy.
Anyone who says those sentences is lying.
I mean,
It's the weirdest way to say you're happy.
Well, anyways, so here I'm gonna do Billy talking about his script, and then let's talk about the LA Film Boy and bouncing off of this. Allison it was around when Allison did the thing.
Yes.
Billy's now bouncing back to her. What's wrong with the Great American Screenplay? I mean, they're selling for $1 million all over town. No, they're not, Billy.
No, they're not.
They ain't. But that he's entitled.
Oh.
Tell me about Billy, the LA Film Boy.
Billy the LA Film Boy, I'm sorry to tell you, sometimes he's right. That is exactly what happens. So he just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. But if what was it called? The Big Shock?
The Big Shock is the Big Shock, yes.
By the way, they've made the Big Shock. I don't know if you're aware of this, but there's a lot of terrible movies that get made by Billy's. So the truth of the matter is, he is frustrating at us, but we don't live in his reality. If Billy stuck with it, Billy would absolutely sell a movie. He's so loud.
Oh,
and
the ability
he yells.
to bluff his way.
Yes.
Just through.
100%.
Oh yeah, sure. Steven Spielberg's my uncle.
Well, do you know how Steven Spielberg got his job? He just started going to an office on a studio and said, "Hey, I'm a director. I work here." And they're like, "Ugh, okay." I'm telling you, there is a long and storied tradition. Billy's not wrong.
You know what Billy's missing?
I don't know.
Baseball hat.
Yes, that's the only thing.
Baseball hat.
And a chili dog.
Down by the Tasty Freeze. Sexually. This is just a puzzling one. We've got one that's. Have we said everything we need to say about the LA Film Boy, or
yes.
Let's not linger. Right? It's distasteful.
Yeah.
So this is Sandy to Jake about his dumping of Kelly with his not so elaborate ruse.
Oh wow.
Really put some to give us the Tennessee Williams for sure.
I will give you what I can. The thing is, I'm also focused on the nostrils, so it's a lot.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Well. What do you know? The stag outran them after all.
I saw the nostrils. For our
Thank
listeners,
you.
I want to confirm that
They heard
Lisa's
the nostrils. They heard the
performance
nostrils. They heard it.
must have been resonant through the nostrils. This is just more of her being a Tennessee Williams.
I think so.
Export?
I think she's just trying to act like she's in a southern play.
And what I think the if you had a universal translator, what she's saying is like, you got out of that situation because that's what you do. You're the stag that outran them all. Like, because in other words, he's no longer entangled with this teen.
Well, her whole
Is that what she's saying?
yeah. She's saying like nobody could tame you. And so the thing is, I feel like she's still like, you're this wild stag and I've got to go out there and we're because I don't know if you remember, they're not really developing her a ton, but she has said to him before, well, you know us, the two of us, we're like crazy animals just running around causing havoc. And he's going, I am very selfish. Like, I don't think you get it. Like, I don't even clock that you're here.
What we?
Yeah. The royal
We are what?
No.
Yeah, she sort of posits during that same conversation that they're both sociopaths. All right, this is a team up.
All right.
No context necessary.
Who's who?
Well, how do you want to do it? Do you want to take the alto or the soprano?
I'll take the idiot. Just kidding. It's
Oh
hard to
boy,
know
that's a
there.
tie. Why don't you do Alison?
I'll do Alison.
I love tuna casserole.
I know.
I don't know. I don't have a lot on that. I just think that was like, and then that was the beginning.
How many times on this show does someone tell her something and she goes, I know?
Because that's part of her persona.
Oh, I hate it.
You can't tell Alison.
I love it. Maybe that is the worst thing she did.
I'm sticking with encouraging Billy to continue writing.
Next one.
I'll say this is more Billy now to Alison about his father, the furniture store owner. He wouldn't even let me have a sofa.
You know what I would have loved to hear? And by the way, imagine if Billy would have done it this way.
Yeah, I know. Because we're doing line readings now. This is great.
He wouldn't even let me have a sofa.
But see, petulant, in a way, I think that's how Billy thought he delivered that.
I know that is how
He's like, you will not believe what I go through with my father.
He wouldn't even let me have a sofa.
Wait
a minute. Stop.
Cast.
Sorry, I just realized he said that to Alison. Anyways.
Yeah.
Not saying anything.
Okay.
Note it for later.
What
a horrible father.
so yeah, and now we're coming full circle with our quotations. We're back to Jane now, to Alex, our front man of the band that doesn't exist.
Oh yes, that's right.
For some reason, she says this to him in the courtyard.
I thought I was missing out on something. Fireworks, excitement, a taste of the unknown. When everything I was looking for was here all along.
Lesson learned.
Going
Episode over.
Leaving you.
Yeah, this is something I'm telling this guy I've strung along.
Thanks for being a story device.
Yeah.
He wasn't a human. She treated him like trash. I love
Producer Ilana can be a little squeamish. And I think when she said, after Jane said, a taste of the unknown.
What is a taste of the unknown mean?
You made that face, which people can't see.
Yeah, what's she talking about?
But
I know what the taste
kind of retched a little bit.
I'll tell you what the taste of the unknown was. Whatever she was crawling on that club floor.
Oh yeah, she's brought the early Mirza back to the Mancini residence. So I don't know what we learned. 3 months, guys. I guess that's it. That's all. In summary, episode 3, we learn that it takes 3 months to get these nice Midwestern kids
turning crazy
from new to LA to running around losing wedding bands like complete psychotics.
It was amazing.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, and at the end of the day, don't ever tell anyone how you honestly feel about them.
Yeah, you should do whatever you can up to and including involving a third party in some strange ruse rather than just leveling with people.
That's the best.
So, I think this is good. No spoilers this week. Do not pass go. Go directly to whenever it's dropped. Season 1, episode 4. We'll be covering that on the long march through the Melrose Place televisual universe.
We love it.
Lisa, it was wonderful talking with you about this. I
treat.
just feel enriched in my soul.
Same. Oh, the cats are here now.
Conan and McLean, thank you for joining us.
Thank
Albeit
you.
late. This is like the SNL closing credits.
Oh.
Just everybody comes out.
They do.
Thank you so much. I love New York. Guys, what a wonderful crew to work with. Producer Ilana, producer Chris.
Wayne, I hate to cut you off, but they have the couch booked right after this, so we
This is
a courtesy.
This is a scheduling mishap. Okay. Bye, guys.
You're right. This is madness.